I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome back if you are a regular visitor here. And if you're new here, a big welcome to you. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. So today I'm bringing you one of the most momentous aspects and transits and the information about that we've had in probably 15, 20 years. And of course, this is about Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. It moves into Aquarius on March the 23rd, 2023. It stays for a few weeks, then it backs back into Capricorn, but the next few weeks it will give us a taste. It's like it's leaving its visiting card. It's going to show us a little glimpse of what we all might expect with the massive shifts in energy that this is going to bring. I'm super excited about this, as you can probably tell, because this is about power to the people. It's Aquarius. It's the community. You know, when Pluto moves, the transformative power of progress is inevitable. So let's see what this all means, because I've made copious notes, which I will work my way through. And after I've, don't worry, they're not too long, but it is interesting and I think it's worth listening to. So after I've done this kind of general look at what I feel Pluto is about moving into Aquarius, I will move on to showing you which part of your chart each of you will experience, in which area of your life you'll experience this Pluto energy. So let's start with actually looking at what happened the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius. So good old internet and Mr. Google helped me sort this one out. But Pluto was last in Aquarius between 1778 and 1798. And this was a tumultuous period in history. We experienced the Industrial Revolution. I think that's really interesting because I think we're going to experience a kind of technological revolution that we can't even begin to visualize. It also saw the French Revolution. Who this time round is going to lose their head, or who are going to lose their heads? It's certainly thought-provoking. There was enlightenment in general and the ratification of the United States Constitution. So what will we see this time? Technological advances? Contact with ET? Revolutions? Traditional ways of governing overthrown? We are certainly entering a very exciting, an extraordinary new age. But let's look first at the symbolism of Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So, whilst Pluto was in transit through Capricorn, we saw the breaking down of traditional values. Pluto moved into Capricorn around 2008. And Capricorn represents traditional values. And it feels like the energy of Pluto built slowly as it challenged the heart of American traditions and politics and the rise of far-right extremism. We, of course, have endured a pandemic and also, of course, the first war in Europe since the Second World War. But who's Pluto? Who was he? Who is the mythological figure behind the name given to our wonderful little dwarf planet? Pluto is also known as Hades, and so is the god of the underworld. Hades, or Pluto, is about death, rebirth, and transformation. Pluto is the original phoenix rising from the ashes of what has been destroyed. So he could be seen as a necessary ending, which seems like the dark night of the soul, but it ultimately leads to positive and powerful transformation. So Pluto rules Scorpio and the 8th house. Pluto, even though he's a fixed sign in Scorpio, he has the fluid water depths of the deepest ocean and is fixed in his knowledge for the need for constant death and rebirth, the cycle of life. He is all that is secret and dark, but promises the alchemical golden awakening of the transformation of your very soul. So how will Pluto fare in the sign of technology, Aquarius? What does Aquarius represent? Well, as an air sign and the 11th sign of the zodiac, its energy is fixed. Aquarius is the water bearer and symbolizes the gods bringing the essential nutrients to all of us on Earth. So the transformative powers of Pluto in this sign suggest enormous change and transformation. Huge shifts in technologies and in human consciousness. That is worthy of a separate video. And I'm going to talk about the more human element at another time. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius and is known as the Great Awakener. And for sure, humanity will not recognize how far it's grown in 20 years' time. So how's the planet going to fare with this energy? How will it affect the way we run our countries? Well, for sure, the old school network way of operating will, I believe, end up dead and buried. I think there'll be elections. Well, of course there will be, because there would be over 20 years, but I think the elections are going to be much more significant than we can imagine. So there will be elections in various parts of the world. And I think it will see the people, the populace, giving the new thinkers, the younger generations, it's going to give them more chances because they have more compassion for life, for ecology, for the planet. And I think they're going that in general, the populace want to elect younger generations because they appear more grown up than the so-called adults. So they want the younger generations in the positions of power because they have the foresight, they have the insight, they have the level of their consciousness has expanded enormously because of where they've come into this life. This is the change the world needs, and we will see the glimmer of this during the next couple of years before Pluto fully moves into Aquarius in 2024. So warfare, whether it's the ongoing conflict in Ukraine or just the general tensions between various countries, feeling hard done by, and wanting more power. I think the likelihood is that we will see more cyber warfare attacks on banking systems and attempts to disrupt our means of communication, the internet, etc. For sure, technological advances and artificial intelligence will see huge growth. Every home, I predict, by the end of 2024, will have automated help far superior to Siri and Alexa. I think space travel will naturally increase. What about E.T.? E.T. phone home. Just had to put that in, I love it. Will we finally get definitive evidence that we're not alone? Well, it wouldn't surprise me, and one has to wonder if the recent alleged sightings over parts of America of UFOs are not a gentle preparation by our governments to test the waters, to prepare us and awaken the collective to the fact that we certainly are not alone. How is this going to affect you personally? Well, I want to make one big important point at this point. Firstly, I want to say, do not fear this major transit of Pluto. These outer excuse me, these outer planets have generational energies, and their movement is so slow for us on an individual level that it's more about acknowledging their presence in the part of the chart they occupy for us, and then in some way just forgetting about it. So what do I mean by this? Well, in general, I do feel it's more the collective experiences that we are going to notice as a huge community, the ones that I've been mentioning above, that are going to be the sort of the foremost things in our mind about what we can expect personally from Pluto in Aquarius. But I think on a personal level, we'll feel lighter, more open, less held back by tradition. More of us may feel rebellious, moved to make our feelings felt about the injustices of the world. And I think, and this is really difficult for the older generations, of which I'm one of those people, but I manage fairly well with my tech stuff. But I do think we're likely to be realizing that if we don't keep our tech skills up to date and use smart devices, we're going to get left behind and not be able to pay for anything in shops. There's no doubt it is going to be a struggle for a lot of people, especially the older generations. And some of us will fiercely resist the push, which I do feel is inevitable, towards a cashless society. But there's inevitability about this that we can't avoid. And I don't even want to go down the path of electronic payment implants, but all these systems are very probable, and there will be huge resistance from many. So let's have some final thoughts before I move on to your individual zodiac signs. Pluto is probably the most powerful of all the planets in our solar system. And yet in physical size, it's the smallest and a dwarf planet. There's no way of avoiding the transformative change that Pluto can bring. And as I often say, it's the course of least resistance that ultimately empowers you and places you in the best position for you and those you care about. Right, let's move on to your individual zodiac signs. And remember, listen to your sun sign and listen to your rising sign, because the rising sign really is the true location of where this energy is going to be focused in your life. And remember, don't fear it. Just go with it. You know, these energies get a lot of hype from all us astrologers because we get so super overexcited. So just kind of take everything down a few notches and then you'll find a middle road with it. So let's look where it is for Aries. So for you, Aries, it's in the sector of your chart to do with the community at large. I think you are going to be getting out and about much more and connecting and upping your tech skills. I think that's something that you will recognize you have to do. And in a sense, if you want to launch any of the ideas and dreams and projects you've got, you just have kind of like no choice. And I don't know why it's come into my mind, but I'm going to say it. I'm also seeing that I think there's going to be more exploration into electronic forms of art. Now, I'm not quite sure what I mean by that, but let's see what unfolds. But Aries in general, this is a good placement and it's a helpful placement. And I think that because it's in the opposite sign to your 5th house, which is about creativity, this Pluto energy will help you to really think big, wide, in a transformative way. Good energy for you, Aries. Taurus. Oh, wow, Taurus. This is in the sector of your chart that's about your career. So I'm going to talk first of all to career Taurians. Taurus, if you have a career, a business, private business, self-employed, work, whatever you're doing, you have this energy for the next 20 years. It is giving you the opportunity to transform the way you work. There are such opportunities with this. If something's not working when you first experience Pluto moving into this part of your chart, then get rid of it, change it. Start afresh with something else. Find what does work. Now I'm going to talk to the people that are not working and those that are retired. For you, this energy will just bring in such wonderful opportunities for you to find new ways to ignite passions in you about subjects and ideas and talents that you didn't think was possible. And I think it will enable you to take back some power, personal power that you may have found because you're not working or because you're retired and have felt a little bit like you've been put on the scrap heap. This Pluto energy can help to empower you. Hugely potent for you. Let's move on to Gemini. Wow, Gemini. What are you going to be learning? How are you going to change? I just think you are going to have extraordinary new insights into subjects that you're passionate about. I think you're going to want to include a lot more physical travel in your life. I think you want to see the depths of the ocean. I think if you had an opportunity to buy a ticket on a flight to the moon, you will take it. You might need to win the lottery first. Talk to Pisces because they're going to win the lottery around that new moon in the video I just did. So very transformational in this part of your chart, Gemini. I think in terms also of your spirituality, even if you have no sense of religious belief or spiritual belief, I think by the time Pluto's finished with you, you will be beginning to think, oh my God, okay, right, well, there is more to what we see, feel, hear, smell, and touch. There is our knowing. There is our psychic knowing. Cancer. Wow. Well, 8th house. What can I say? It's in the house of transformation. Pluto is returned to the house it rules. This is going to, I think, help bring you out from what might have been a very challenging few years whilst Pluto went through your 7th house. And I think that this energy shifting like this is going to help you find the benefits of what you've learnt in your close relationships. I do feel that you are going to be more aware of the significance if somebody that is dear to you is no longer around. And remember, all of us can go through all of this at any time. But because it's in the 8th house, it makes it slightly keener for you, if you know what I mean, Cancer. It's just sharper. And it's 20 years. So the inevitability of people coming and going is fairly predictable. But let's move on to Leo. Leo, my big pussycats. Tickle under your chin, rub behind your ears, rub your tummy. Leo, this is in your 7th house of significant relationships. Well, I tell you, if Saturn didn't bring someone new into your life, then Pluto should. Pluto is going to transform your life. Pluto is going to transform your relationships. If you're single at the start of this 20 years and you don't want to be, I don't think you'll be single by the end of it. Although you might be committed during the time and then end up single. Who knows? All sorts of things can happen with this kind of energy. But I do feel that this is going to be very good for your relationships in the sense that it's like making a clean sweep. Those that do not serve you will not stand the test of time. They will have to be gone, dispatched. This sounds quite brutal, but Pluto is really pushing you to invite into your life the relationships and partnerships, be it business or love, that fulfill you, that are meaningful for you, and not to placate others. Now let's move on to Virgo. Virgo. This is in the sector of your chart that is to do with your day-to-day routine and health and service to others. Now, what I can tell you is a Leo ascendant, I've just had and still got for a while longer, Pluto in this part of my chart. And I can only kind of relay to you how it's treated me. It really made me, I haven't always listened, but it really made me look at my body in the sense that I realized I had to act now to make sure my body was going to serve me well in the months and years ahead as I grow older. And so in some ways, Pluto helps you transform your whole kind of synastry with your physical body. It will help you find different ways to accommodate the changes that our bodies make as we age, because 20 years is a long time. And what it can also do is help you break unhelpful habits. Break unhelpful habits and bring in habits and regimes that serve you better. So that's on a very kind of thin level. There will be other things that will come up as the years pass, as different planets make aspects, go in and out of this part of your chart. So don't overthink it, Virgo. Just put in the somewhere in your mind, look after me, and I think you'll be fine. Now let's look at Libra. So Libra, for you, this is about your creative instincts and juices. And children. If you are, if you have no children and would like some, Pluto can make that happen. If you have children and you would like to become a grandparent or a great grandparent, then Pluto in this part of your chart can make that happen. And with anything that you want to launch that is creative, anything that feeds your soul, Libra, on that kind of deep level of artistic enjoyment, music, the arts, theatre, then do it, do it, do it. Allow Pluto to move your soul. Allow Pluto to transform your psyche into one that is in harmony with all the different facets of life. Now let's look at Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, Pluto in the sector of your chart to do with home and family is always going to bring, at some point over the next 20 years, a move of some description. It can be upsizing, downsizing, change of location, moving country even. Obviously, it depends whether this is your ascendant, which is your rising sign, or your sun sign. So for sun sign Scorpio, depending what your ascendant is, this energy is diluted somewhat. But if you're a Scorpio ascendant, I'd be really surprised if something quite major did not happen with your residents. And also with family members, there's going to be changes in the family over the next 20 years. I mean, obviously that's fairly predictable. I mean, you know, it's not astrological rocket science. And I mean, I listen to myself saying these things and I think, well, of course things are going to change. But but in a sense, it's focusing on the home and also ancestry. This would be wonderful energy to launch into digging up your family tree, not digging up your ancestors, not literally, but digging up information about your ancestry and your history. That would be interesting use of this energy, especially for people who are no longer working or retired. Now we move on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, for you, this is in the part of your chart that is to do with your sort of local community. It's to do with communication. It can also be mechanical things like cars and things like that. And this could literally mean that at some point you get a new car. It can bring changes like that, or new white goods. But I know that's so general and not really kind of deeply symbolic. But if we take it on the level of looking at it with regards to how you communicate, I think, Sagittarius, you will find that you have much more ability to communicate from the depths of your soul. I think you will have a sense of just knowing, and that your psychic intuition will be much keener, much sharper. And so I think what it's going to do is give you the the gift, if you like, of foresight and insight. And most of us have hindsight. So now let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn. Whoa, you've done it. Since 2008, you have survived. So you can tell all the Aquarians what it's going to be like. You have survived Pluto in your sign. And I'm sure if you're sitting here now listening to this, you're looking back over the last 15 years or so, thinking, well, I didn't think that was going to happen, or these things were going to change, or that I would be sitting here now in such a different place in myself, because it will have been transforming for you. Some of you might have been dragged into the future kicking and screaming. It'll be much easier for the people that took advantage of this Pluto energy to do some deep inner work, that sought the help of therapists or counsellors. That's great use of this energy. But for you, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, this brings the focus and sort of the headlights, if you like, full on to your material possessions and your financial side of life. So in many ways, I think it gives you a little bit more control and power over what you decide or how you decide to operate with yourself financially. Obviously this is very generalized. It depends on your rising sign. And I also think that in terms of how you feel about you, your self-worth, your value, I think this is going to help you transform that, so that you've had the transformation of Pluto in your sign. Now you are gaining it on every single level of your being, on every fiber and cell of your body. You will really benefit from Pluto in this part of your chart. Now let's move on to Aquarius, the stars of the show. Aquarius, how do you feel? You concerned? Don't be. This is just going to be so wonderful for you. Seriously. Might take a bit of getting used to, but just think about it. You've had Pluto in your 12th house, really putting you through the mill of inner discovery, inner learning, inner journeys. If any of you have not been to therapists, I'll be very surprised, because you'll have needed to talk to someone to make sense of everything that Pluto's been putting you through. And now here it finally is. You said bye-bye to Saturn, and here's Pluto in your sign. And this is about you. In 20 years' time, right, on one level, yes, of course you're going to be different. But this really is a transforming time for you. I think it's going to bring the freedom and expression of your feelings. That become much easier. I think you'll have an ability to communicate much better your thoughts, feelings, your ideas, how to use your creativity in harmony with technology. Because remember, you are a sign of technology. And even though some of you might be dinosaurs born under the sign of Aquarius, you know, if you want to keep up, you've got to learn the stuff. You've got to sort of really educate yourself. I think Pluto in this part of your chart, after the first couple of years, you'll hardly on one level notice it's there, because the next 2 years are going to get you used to it moving back and forwards over the ascendant. So it's giving you, It's breaking you in gently to this fixed, airy energy. It's going to be fine. It's going to be good. And you are going to, I think, find that you come up with some extraordinary, inventive ideas for you, for life, for the collective. I think we're going to see some pretty important, well-known Aquarians out there on the public stage. And, you know, I just think that Aquarius is this, in a sense, excuse me, and I haven't said this yet, but of course, it's blatantly obvious we are moving into the age of Aquarius. And if I didn't say that at the beginning, I'm saying it now. But this really is Pluto's move into Aquarius. Really, you know, we need to break into song now with the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But this is what's happening. And Aquarius, you are the lucky sign having this wonderful transformative energy here, which will help you to take back your power and to really feel so much more in charge of your life. And now finally, we come on to my oceans of emotions, my Pisces. Pisces, my oceans of emotions. Pisces. Well, Saturn in your first house, Pluto in your 12th. Whew, how is this going to pan out? Well, again, Pisces, I want to say to you what I've said to everyone in general. Please try and dilute some of what I say, because it's not all going to be as exaggerated as the points that I've highlighted in this video. For you, it's in the 12th house. Now, the 12th house you're at home in, because traditionally on the zodiac wheel, the 12th house is where you live. So you know this deep, inner, dark world. You know the hidden depths, the dreams, the imagination, the flow, the spiritual connection with the divine. You know all of that. Pluto is going to really transform your whole nature. I think it's your psychic abilities. I think if any of you do work in the helping or healing professions or in the esoteric traditions, mediumship, astrology even, or psychic predictions, you know, we're going to see another Nostradamus, I think, coming up. I do think this is incredibly empowering for you, Pisces. You know, Saturn moving into your sign and having transited your 12th house kind of prepared you. It kind of started to sort of make you see that you need to get some emotional grounding and boundaries. Now, Saturn in your first house is really giving you those emotional boundaries. And what that's going to do is help you explore the amazing energy of Pluto in the 12th house for you. This really is a momentous energy for you. Very excited. So on that note, thank you all so much for coming to listen to my Pluto in Aquarius video. Wow, big stuff. And please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. And I wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.